Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Marie Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry, coming to you from two socially distant studios at the edge of the Great Red Divide. You can find all of our previous works at heartlandmamas.com, on all podcast platforms, and YouTube, plus proudly carried on the Demcast USA network. Heartland Mamas, bringing you the voices of progressivism, the Democratic Party, and democracy across the United States every day. Or not every day, but every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on Facebook. Please join us and bring your friends. So, Marie, today we're going to talk about the Mitch that stole Christmas, because Mitch has stolen so many things. It's just this is his latest theft. And
Right. I think that he is one of the. I think he's. Dr. Seuss pegged it when he wrote The Grinch That Stole Christmas. Mitch kind of looks like the Grinch, doesn't he? They both resemble each other, except the Grinch had that pointy hair
we
thing,
don't know what's
and
under his
Mitch is
head.
is pretty bald. So
Yeah.
I think that there's a difference there. But overall, and Mitch that stole Christmas is because the stimulus package is absolutely awful. I mean,
Well,
that's the only way to describe it.
well, and the thing is at this point, stimulus has gone by. We need relief. And we can't call this stimulus. When this first happened and we gave everybody $1,200 and everybody went out and shopped or went online and shopped, I arguably most of that money went to Amazon. It went to Jeff Bezos. But I spent it on gravel. I put a new parking lot in at my farm with my stimulus money. But everybody stimulated the economy and everybody was like, woohoo! And then it went away. Then we didn't have any more. And at this point in time, Murray, I work with a couple of food banks. I help pass out food. I help stock shelves and clean stuff and prepare stuff. I'm not always there the day the food is delivered, but I'm there helping get ready for the big day, And when people come, and they come twice a month here in Marseilles, twice a month in the Riverbend Food Pantry comes to town, the Mobile Pantry comes to town, and then Ottawa has one as well that I've worked with. And I've seen the lines extend. I've seen it be something we can get done in a couple of hours to something that's taking close to a day process and running out of food, where we didn't have that problem. We had stuff we had to throw out at the end of the day, breads and fruits and vegetables, because there was just more than we needed. And now I see people wondering if there's going to be enough. I had one lady tell me, this is enough to get me through this week. I have 2 more weeks until I get my SNAP card refilled. And I've had other people tell me, well, my SNAP benefits were cut. That was thank you, Donald Trump. Or rescinded, because we changed the parameters for which people could get food years ago into the Trump administration a couple years ago. And you and I rallied and railed about cutting food nutrition assistance back then, before there was a pandemic. But then when they decided to cut that, now food insecurity is so great. And so when we talk about this relief bill, we talk about how little Mitch McConnell can give to people that really need it. He wants to give all kinds of money and perks to the people at the top, to the rich, to the corporations, to the airlines, to the oil industry. And the Democrats are over here going, no, we passed a HEROES Act back in June that you didn't sign, you didn't even look at, that would have taken care of this and given everybody a monthly stipend. But now Mitch has distilled it down to, we'll give an extra $300 a week to those on unemployment. Or not a
Not
week,
a week.
a month.
$300 a month
Yeah. To those
to those on unemployment, and we will extend the unemployment benefits,
right,
which is great for those folks whose unemployment is about to run out, who are worried
the day
about
after Christmas.
the day after Christmas,
Yeah.
which is much needed. But there are countless people that are not on unemployment anymore, who have been off of the unemployment.
Right.
There are people whose hours have been cut,
Severely cut.
who are servers whose wages are gone.
Yeah.
And we need to realize that what is being offered is just a tiny
It's crumbs, Murray.
amount that won't do good for anyone except the corporations.
Right.
And here's the thing that we need to understand about this bill, why I am anti it 100%, and that is the shield, the corporate shield.
Oh, Murray, we talked about this.
They
We were texting about this about 6 o'clock this morning, talking about the corporate shield. And so tell everybody what that means. What that shield is there for.
So the shield is to protect corporations, firms from any liability. It gives them immunity, is actually the word they use. Think about that word, immunity.
Immunity.
They used the word immunity in the bill. Immunity to me conjures up, we're going to do bad shit. Like when you ask for immunity, it means you've done something you shouldn't do,
Right.
and you want I'll give you something, but you tell me I'm okay for having done this other stuff, right?
Right.
It's what's going on with pardons, like we talked about, and that is the term that they use. So Mitch McConnell, the Republicans, know that companies are not doing what they need to be doing for their employees,
Right.
for their customers. They
Purposefully.
know they're cutting corners.
Yeah.
Take a look at Iowa. Okay, Heidi, you and I did a show last May, March, April, somewhere in there, where we did a show about Kansas and the Nebraska and the packing plant in Nebraska and the huge outbreak that they had there.
Right.
And that's happened in Iowa as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Purdue company, the pork processing
Right.
portion of the company, had a severe outbreak, and it caused a huge uptick in the cases, not only in the plant but also in the community.
Right.
And when we recall, we go back to the one in Nebraska, the CDC, the FDA came in,
Right.
and they're the ones that are supposed to regulate this. And then the CDC changed their fines and do this and this and this into guidelines, helpful suggestions.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to.
And so
You don't have to do these things unless you want to do them, unless you feel that they'll be helpful to your bottom line. So
right. There's suggestions. They went from putting shields up to protect workers who are in tight quarters to, it would be nice if you could maybe, they Susan Collins, they Susan Collins did, you know.
Yeah. And the thing is then so that went over to all meat processors. And then you have the executives at Tyson making bets about how many people are going to get sick and die from working in their plants from COVID-19.
You had executives specifically downplaying the risks and contraction and safety procedures needed in Spanish. They specifically told their Latinx
employees,
workers, that it wasn't a concern.
Nope.
The postings were different for their Hispanic community than they were for their English speakers.
Right.
So it was all done manipulatively. It was all that they knew. They went to the governor and hid the amount of cases that they told the governor the truth. And the governor's like, you're fine. And if those are not the types of people that deserve to have a lawsuit brought against them, then I don't know what is. So many workers have filed lawsuits. Workers' families have filed lawsuits. And this bill, by passing this bill, by giving a tiny fraction of people in the United States help that they desperately need, they are going to shield Tyson with immunity, knowing companies are not taking the proper procedures, knowing that they're not doing the right thing.
But Murray, it's not.
They're giving them. It's capitalism.
It's mercenary capitalism, and it's not just these huge employers. It is employers of 10 people where they say, you know what, you can't take a day off. You're non-symptomatic, you might be COVID positive, but you need to come to work. And there are places right here in our community that have done that. I know somebody who went to work in a medical setting that was asymptomatic, no symptoms for COVID 19, and worked the entire duration knowing they had it. Now, this was a mandate because the department, because so many other people were out sick with COVID, that they couldn't lose another employee. And since this employee had no symptoms, they had to go to work in a medical setting with sick people. So, how many people got sick from that? Did any of them get sick from that? And through contact tracing, if they trace that back, Mitch McConnell is saying, sucks to be you. You can't sue just because you lost your husband and the primary breadwinner of your family, your husband or wife or whatever, your mother or father, doesn't mean that you can sue because your 65-year-old grandmother was still healthy and vibrant and raising you, and she was lost to COVID-19. Just because that person came to work sick means that you cannot
because we forced
we
them to.
force them to. And
It,
this
it, it-
happens
of
with waitresses that we know. This happens with servers that we know. This happens with cooks that we know. This happens with not horse trainers, but hairdressers that we know. We know, you and I know people that have been asymptomatic and have gone to work. And we know employers that have made them do that. Now, did they make other people sick? Did they make other people sick?
no, no.
We don't know. Because a lot of places have fought contact tracing, and if you're not admitting that somebody on your premises has COVID-19 and is still coming to work, still setting food on your table, still making your salad, you don't know how you got it.
And that's just one of the ways that companies will dodge the liability. It's as big as not telling your employees that one of your other employees is positive,
Right.
as much as it is, you know, not providing the proper equipment. I mean,
Right.
the schools that are opening without the proper PPE
Right.
and sanitizing equipment, it and I guess on one hand it would take, that the number of lawsuits would be ridiculous, but
I get
if
that.
you're not doing the right thing, then you can't
Well, and they want to protect the nursing
do it.
homes too. So the nursing homes where we've had exponential death, I read yesterday that 37% of the deaths that have occurred from COVID-19 have been nursing home related. Okay. I know that people get sick there. My dad went into a nursing home, into hospice with shingles. Now he was 98, 97 years old. I know the precautions they took. They would wear like hazmat suits coming into his room to take care of him in the hospital because it did put him in the hospital. And yes, he had a shingle shot, but he still got it anyway. Um, so I know how they treated him, and that was just before COVID was, that we knew it was here in the States. Now we found out that it was here in December, just recently. But um, so I watched the precautions that they took for him, but then we ran out of PPE, right? They used a lot of PPE just for my dad, and it went right in the trash. Then they were having to wear PPE all day long in these nursing homes. So if you go from one room to the next, you're protecting your worker. You're not protecting your patient. But how this relief bill is written protects them from any liability or any culpability. And I realized they were old and sick and in a nursing home. But there still has to be some responsibility for humanity. And the Republican Party wants to abdicate that again and again and again and protect.
Well, we know why, because who donates to their campaigns?
Right, the
Big
rich people.
business.
Yep.
Who benefits from rolling back regulations? Big business. Who is going to get, everyone who runs a business
Yeah.
would benefit from this, but it wouldn't benefit society.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, we have to understand that I'm sorry, people are not going to do the right thing. If you have any doubt that people are going to do the right thing, take a look at the last year.
Yeah.
Take a look at 1917. People will not all. Okay, somebody's going to be like, all people, I'm not all people. All right, we know, you're great. You're right, not all people. But there is a significant portion of the
Yes.
population, both United States and worldwide,
Right.
that will not do the right
Thing.
thing, or that will not do things that would be harder rather than taking the easy way out. We know that people want to be spoon fed and have little
Cows.
effort
Yeah.
and reap ultimate rewards. And that is what we have said is okay
Yes.
by the policies that we make, by the legislation that we pass, all of that, as we've talked about countless times, everything we do builds. And this is an unbelievable travesty to do. I can't even fathom. Now, what also pisses me off here is we know Mitch is the worst creature in the world, but Democrats are going to be pushed into this narrative by the right. The right is saying, oh, well, the Democrats don't care about people. Josh Hawley, Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri is one of the biggest POSs.
Yes.
He is highly underrated. I know there's a lot of competition for super assholes of the Republican Party in the Senate, especially, but this guy does not get the credit that he deserves.
Party, the party of assholiness.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. The party of assholiness. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Josh Hawley is evil beyond comprehension, but he's out there pitching that the Democrats won't help on getting this bill passed. And I kid you not, this man actually says, I'm going to pull this up because
this is great.
This is his quote for today, that negotiators are pretty dug in on the idea of not including checks, meaning the Democrats are like, you got to give everybody something, right?
Well,
he says, I see them saying things like, this is an emergency relief bill. I don't know what's more of an emergency than working people and families who are having to get food in lines. I don't understand that logic at all. Now, this POS is pitching. So the Democrats are buying into this narrative. They're listening to the media. They're compelled to not just help because they know they desperately want to help people, but they think they're being billed as these big bad guys. And they're letting the Republicans do this. Stop.
I know.
Stop.
I read stuff from my... I'm not going to say from my progressive friends, from my Democratic friends, from my liberal friends, that, Pelosi's rolled over on this and she's not holding the line on the HEROES Act, which is what the one that they sent over. I think it was late May when it went over there, and has languished in the hopper, waiting for McConnell to just pick it up and read it. And he's like, not touching that thing, So, she's not capitulating, and she's not holding up the benefits for the people. She is holding up this shield of indemnity and pushing it back and saying, we can't give corporate indemnity
because you cannot trust that they will do the right thing.
They won't do the right thing.
40% of humans will do the wrong thing. And even if it's only 40%, that's enough to screw the rest of us. Right. Hi, look at Australia. Australia's back to partying on the beaches. They're sharing cocktails. We're on the verge of a lockdown because nobody can do what they're frickin' supposed to do. So don't tell me people will do the right things. That is such bullcrap. And if you put that in a corporation's hands, particularly not just a small business, I mean, the small business who's struggling to survive has enough horrible choices in front of them, including having employees come sick or opening when they shouldn't be open. But you put on top of it, then the corporations who have this beholden to their stockholders, to the board, they always, whatever they can to increase profits. And this, you really think that most corporations are going to do the right thing? You're a
No,
fool.
they
They're not.
won't, Murray. They never have. They never will. It will never happen. And if anything has taught us from our show we did on mercantilism, if you get a chance, it's one of our least watched shows, but it's fascinating about how our country was founded on mercantilism, mercenary capitalism, raping everything out of the land, taking over land on multiple continents, and sending it all back to the kings and queens. Take it away, kill the indigenous people, convert them, use Catholicism or the Church of England or whatever you can to beat them into place and to justify it.
And that's where we are now. We look at our
yeah,
representatives, we look at our legislators,
yep.
we look at it, we're ruled by power and fear. And that is the fear of the not getting the vote, the fear of not staying in power, the fear of alienating your donors.
Fear of Republican Jesus.
And those in that fear, right, the fear of Republican Jesus, in that fear becomes self-fulfilling prophecy.
You know it. You know it,
And
Murray.
And so we feed this system, and that's what the Democrats signing this bill or agreeing to this would be doing, would be just feeding this monster, you know. And I know a lot of them get big donations from corporations. They're going to be feeling pressure on this too, and it is wrong that our nation, the safety of our employees, of our citizens, is hanging on the balance of corporate America. Guys, you want to get pissed off? You want to know why? It's not Nancy Pelosi's fault. It's not the Democrats. It's big business. Because they control everything.
Everything.
So the reason you don't have a bonus or you don't have a stimulus check in your hand or you're going to lose your unemployment benefits is so Tyson Corporation can make more money, not have to pay for irresponsibility.
Right.
So if I get in a car, right, and I know that I've been drinking and I drive and I destroy something, I'm civilly liable. Let's say I don't hurt anybody, but I take out a big antique tree. Let's go in to It's a Wonderful Life.
Sure.
Flashback. He smashes the tree. The guy jumps out. He swears at him for killing a 100,000-year-old tree, right? But that old guy could sue him. So if I'm liable for myself and my car doing damage to someone or something else, shouldn't a corporation be liable for its behavior that causes damage to their employees and someone else? Yes, they should.
And here's the other thing, Murray. We don't need to send more money to the airlines and the oil industry and other big businesses because they can go into receivership. They can go into Chapter 11. They can go into all kinds of protections and then reopen debt free. You and I.
But Heidi, no, they can't. Remember, trickle down economics. I can't even say it with a straight face.
I know.
Trickle down economics, of course, works. You got to put money in the hands of the employers, of the businesses,
so
because they're the ones that
themselves up by the bootstraps. And by the way, hand me those bootstraps because you don't deserve them. You didn't work hard enough. You had too many babies. You didn't get your whatever. You know, you work at Walmart.
But don't let you have access to birth control, right? Don't let you have access to birth control. So the whole point of this is that far too often we sacrifice the short term. Heidi, you and I talk all the time and get really irritated with how short-sighted everything is, how reactionary government is. It needs to be thoughtful, and that's one of the reasons we liked Andrew Yang so much. Forward thinking, seeing problems that are coming down the line. So if the Democrats gave and the Democrats give in to this demand without having it removed or severe restrictions, they will be damning generations.
Yes.
Because everything sets a precedent. It's unconscionable.
So if okay, so say they gave us another $300 for those that and extend unemployment. That's all they're willing to do for you. In exchange for that, the big corporations and the small corporations and the mom and pops that did the wrong thing and made you come to work sick or worked sick themselves or spread COVID-19 or didn't take protections or didn't provide PPE or didn't sanitize can never be sued for doing the wrong thing. Never, ever. Now, here's the other thing that's tied to this bill that McConnell hates. McConnell doesn't want to send any money to state, local, municipal governments to help bail out the fact that they've collected no head taxes for using hotels and motels. They don't collect as much retail sales tax because people have ordered so much online. They are not collecting as much gas tax, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the state, local, and municipal governments, township governments, all over the United States are really suffering. Now, when COVID first hit, it hit our urban areas in the north first and really decimated us. And we pushed back and did the safety protocols, and then it went south and it blew up the entire country. So it went into the red
Ha!
states. But so here's Illinois that pays more into the federal government than it gets back. And a lot of our money goes to Mississippi and Tennessee and Kentucky and Georgia and Florida who don't take good care of themselves. They don't collect income taxes because the people of Illinois pay the income taxes for the people that live in Florida. That's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you have states that don't collect income tax, because the people in Illinois and other states that do collect income tax pay it for them. That's how this works. This is the shell game that some of these states play. And they try to make it up in retail sales tax, but still they don't. So Illinois has to overpay. So while we've been supporting all of these welfare queen red states forever, and the myth of the welfare queen is well known, but I'm going to say that Mississippi has never been self-supporting ever, ever, ever. So
No, I don't know about her.
no, I'm sure about that. But so, but McConnell doesn't want any of this money to go to, say, Manlius Township, the township that I live in. You're not going to get any money to help fix your roads, to help put salt down, to do all the things that you do for drainage and so on. No money for you, even though you haven't gotten any money back this year or haven't been able to collect the money that you normally do. And it's not just us. See, the thing is, Mitch, when you say this crap, I live in a red area of the state of Illinois. You smack the faces of every red state when you do this shit. You smack the faces of every municipal government that backed you up and Trumpioned their way all the way to their stars and bar flags. You are smacking everybody, not just the inner city black people that you don't want to help. You smack everybody. You smack those rural poor people right in the face with this and bankrupt
Heidi,
their
you just whoa,
lives.
honey. I am so sorry to interrupt you, but he doesn't care.
I know he doesn't
He
care.
doesn't give a
I know he
The
doesn't
only
care.
way he would care is if he got a check and there were multiple zeros attached to it.
Right.
Then you would find him caring a whole lot more about your
Oh,
issues.
God.
And then that's what I hope our listeners understand is that I'm going to stand strong with any of the Democrats who say no to this bill
Right.
because you need to.
And
You're looking at long-term damage of epic proportions that then we will be responsible for paying for.
and
The
wait.
sicknesses, the lingering illnesses, instead of the
COVID.
company who's responsible for what happened,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It will be us, the
The
taxpayers. So one way
taxpayers.
or another, you get screwed on
We're gonna,
this.
you and
Not
I, ladies and gentlemen, all of us are going to be paying for the COVID long haulers that big corporations, little corporations, people who didn't wear a mask created. We're going to be paying for it. Somebody's got to pay the bills. And it's not going to be corporate America because they never pay for a goddamn thing. They just take and take and take and pay huge dividends to their stockholders, but they don't pay taxes. So it's us, the working people, the
And
working
they don't even take care of
families.
their employees
Yes.
often.
But you know what,
If
Democrats?
they didn't pay taxes and their employees had phenomenal benefits and their premiums didn't go up every year and they didn't keep cutting vacation time and wages and hours, if that were the case, I wouldn't mind so much
Right.
that companies paid less taxes, but they don't. Heidi's right. It goes right in their pocket. It goes right to their bonuses and goes right to their boardrooms.
Yep.
And the stock market is not the economy,
Nope.
folks.
Wall Street
Just
is
a
not
reminder.
Main Street. Wall Street is not Main Street. Rule is not
Exactly.
city. You know. And here's the
So
thing where I'm going to get after Democrats here for a minute. We don't need to put language in this bill for the sage grouse or for anti-racism training for the police department, both very important things, but this is not the time and place to add stupid shit in.
we need to have a show one day that we talk about why we cannot have a clean bill.
Oh,
Why no such thing as a clean bill exists. I think that would really help people understand
yes.
legislation more.
Yeah.
So we will definitely do that show. But you are right, Heidi. And guys, I hope that you understand that the Democrats can't give in to this
No.
because it's one step farther down more corporate capitalist control over our lives.
And it's not
We
just
have to stand strong and say no
yeah.
to corporate liability shield, to immunity. The word in the
Immunity.
text is immunity. That means they know they're going to do something wrong, not like an innocent company who didn't know an employee was positive
Yep.
and came to work and spread it. No,
Yeah.
we're talking jackasses that know they're doing the wrong thing, that choose to do it anyway for the bottom line.
And
So say no to
if
this.
the Republicans really cared, they would give everybody $2,000 a month, just like Canada did, so they can stay home. They would help small businesses so they can shut down, so we can get to the other side of this, so we can get our frickin' lives back. I want my life back. I want to be able to go out and have a meal. I'd like to be able to go on vacation. There's all these things that those of us, like Marie and I, have been, most of us, I would say probably a good 65% of us are behaving ourselves. And then you get the mask holes that just can't. And then they make their kids just can't too. And then everybody gets sick. All the little schools, the little country schools around me are taking turns closing down because this one has too many teachers out sick and this one's got too many kids out sick. Stop it. Stop it. Put your mask on. And Nancy Pelosi stands strong on this. I don't want to see any corporate shield out there. I don't want to see corporate shield
We
immunity.
can't give in on
Period.
this.
You can't. You have to stand
Can't.
strong. And we know, Murray, we know there's going to be class action lawsuits up the butt after this is over. Up the butt. They've already started, and they should. And frivolous ones don't count, should never count, and should never be brought. But for the people that were, whose lives were betted, they took bets on if they were going to live, die, or get sick. That's disgusting. And it's culpable. So anyway, I know I'm furious today. I'm livid reading this
I
stuff.
am too,
The
Heidi.
stuff that
I
keeps
am
us up at night.
too. But before we sign off, I need to put a big shout out here. A completely unsolicited, non paid for endorsement for Ashley Nicole Hair Studio. For those of you who are watching, I have a fabulous new do. It may be the only time you see it straight because I can't make it straight. She can. But it's a beautiful color and a beautiful cut. And if you are anywhere in these North Central Illinois area, please check her out. It's Ashley Nicole Hair Studio. I'll toss it in the comments. You can find her on Facebook. She does an amazing job. She's phenomenal. And it's Ashley Nicole Salon at gmail.com, which I'll put in there. So shout out, Ashley. I love you. Thank you for making me feel not awful. And so, folks, thanks for tuning in today. I had to give a plug to my girl, Ashley. But be sure to tune in, like, subscribe, share. Anything you can do to help spread the message of progressivism beyond the blue bubbles is an amazing, amazing help for everyone. So tune in Thursday, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, and catch all of our previews at Heartland Mamas.
MAMAS.com, all podcast platforms, YouTube, and proudly carried on the Demcast USA network. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Take care, and sorry about my salty language. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.